This is Insights, and my guest this morning is Pastor Olushola Olubode. Pastor Shola, great to have you on Insights.
Thank you, Ma.
You're welcome. What exactly is entrepreneurship?
Oh, well, it's a very interesting phenomenon you just spoke about. Entrepreneurship simply is the act of taking risk and, initiative to start new things, be it business, a venture, So you probably want to say that an entrepreneur is a person who accepts, the risk and considerable initiative for starting and running a business. And that's an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship is the act of that process. An entrepreneur is a person that does it.
Okay.
So he accepts the risk and take considerable initiative to start something. That's an entrepreneur.
So what are the attributes of entrepreneurs?
Well, interestingly, an entrepreneur is more of who a person is, not what he does. So when you talk about an attribute of an entrepreneur, I want to talk about the myths sometimes people have concerning entrepreneurship. Most of the time, people think an entrepreneur is someone that has acquired experience in certain things, so he can start business in that area. Okay. For instance, I used to work in a firm as an engineer, like a construction engineer. Okay. Then I retire and I start construction business, so I'm an entrepreneur. No, it doesn't work that way necessarily. So an entrepreneur will be more of a person that is self-driven. An entrepreneur is self-driven. It's someone that is self-nurturing. A self-nurturing person. An entrepreneur will be someone that is result-oriented. Is someone that is, given to results, achieving results. An entrepreneur will be someone that is highly energetic. Highly energetic. It will be someone that is tolerant of uncertainty. An entrepreneur will be someone that is a risk taker. Now, I must mention here that risk-taking is not the same as gambling. Okay. An entrepreneur, while it is risk, it is calculated risk. He understands risk, is able to mitigate the risk and take the risk. And then maybe most importantly, I would probably want to say also that an entrepreneur must be a visionary. He must have vision. But again, I say this, that the myths in entrepreneurship sometimes that somebody will think that to be a manager, an entrepreneur is a manager. I mean, if you can manage something well, I'm an entrepreneur. Or sometimes they will say an entrepreneur is a technical person. Okay. But truly, an entrepreneur is a 3-in-1 person. So you find the attributes of a complete entrepreneur in, number one, being entrepreneurial, which is the ability to see the future, which is a visionary person. Okay. But you also must have some element of management, which is a manager, which is the ability to insight, that means see the past, management of resources. And of course, you must have the competence of the present, which is technical, ability to develop a product that can meet customers' needs, service customer, because customer is now. Yeah. So an entrepreneur would then be a 3-in-1 person who is entrepreneurial, technically sound, and a manager.
Adding value to the lives of people.
Oh, definitely. He has to add value. He has to add value. As a matter of fact, we want to say someone that can create value for a benefit is also an entrepreneur. So you're right.
So what is the role of entrepreneurs in a changing economy?
Well, entrepreneurs have been known to be, in fact, in the history of the world, we can say the success and the benefit and the enjoyment the world has come to enjoy is largely attributed to entrepreneurs. It's so interesting. Now, the concept of government, it's new. Because sometimes a lot of people have thought about government doing this, government doing that. It is largely entrepreneurs that actually have built society. They build society, they're the one that build dreams, they're the one that build cities, they're the one that build aspirations. If I want to just take some few data from countries like the United States, where entrepreneurship perhaps is most common. You want to say that in the US, for instance, 24.5 million small businesses exist in the US, and that's huge. 24.5 million businesses. Now, you want to say 24.5 million businesses times the number of people that they're employing. Yeah. So so we are looking at that. It has the largest history of sustainable, mom and dad businesses that have grown on to become big business all over the world. And then you also look at the fact that nearly 750 businesses are started every year in the US. 750,000 businesses. Now, with such capacity, the challenge of unemployment is managed. Because some will create businesses and some will be employed. But you say with business being created, and that's what you're talking about, the entrepreneur, they create employment opportunities. And of course, by so doing, they also create opportunities for people. You find in a place like the US, many women are able to own their own businesses. And there's something about women owning their businesses. Now, when a woman owns a business, she doesn't just make profits. There's a high level of stability, and sustainability in the society. When women own business, because women tends to actually have a lot of consideration, for taking care of family, and things like that. So you find that has also has helped, in kind of stability, social unrest. So in a way, you say entrepreneurs also help to, step down social unrest, violence, crimes, agitation for social equality. All those are solved by, entrepreneurship. And of course, you look at the fact that the contribution to GDP itself, that means the government aspiration of growing an economy, is largely driven by the entrepreneur. Because you find that in a place like the US, about 40% of their GDP is contributed by small businesses. So you probably want to say that the economy is actually built on small business.
There's a lot of encouragement, for such growth for little businesses.
Oh yes, there is. Because the government has got to know the importance and implication of such businesses in the economy. They are the engine of growth. In fact, you can say the entrepreneurs are the engine of growth of the economy. See, they're the engine that provide growth for the economy.
We don't have, we don't have that here. The environment in this part of the world is not too conducive, for starting such, or rather promoting such small-scale businesses.
One of the challenge, Africa must rise above is entrepreneurship. Most of the time, people think that the challenge of Africa is poverty. The challenge of Africa, we talk about corruption, poverty. It's a dark continent. But you see, entrepreneurship, if governments and the people, in fact, the people and leaders can take the concept of entrepreneurship very serious. Because what entrepreneurship does is entrepreneurs are value drivers. A typical entrepreneur does not encourage insolence. Entrepreneurs, what they know to do is to create values. They pick something, they pick nothing, and make something out of it. An entrepreneur will be someone that would look at the need for managing information in a convenient, faster, and sustainable manner on the go, and they will come with something like a laptop. You're thinking of what you can do to add value to the society. So that is a very important thing that the government and the leaders of Africa must take into cognizance. And it must be a policy. Like if you want to say, how has that been in the US? Because you want to look at the model and say you want to benchmark. One, there's a deliberate educational policy to encourage entrepreneurship as a study. Because it's not enough to practice something. You must be able to study it. Because what I have done, and I've done well, I must be able to document it for others to learn
from.
So what they've done now is to actually, after having succeeded in entrepreneurship, they've been able to create a curriculum to teach others in a very simple way to understand how to create sustainable businesses. I mean, something more than rudimentary farming, rudimentary business. All right? And again, they also what they call encouragement. That means they celebrate success, celebrate it so that it becomes very easy through documentary evidence. People write books, they do videos, and then people can watch and be inspired.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of inspiration going on. And of course, talk about mentorship. They encourage people that are experts, that are retired, to become mentors. What they call business incubation centers, all over the places. And those are the kind of things that they've done, to make it very easy. And of course, they made it very easy for the small business owner to have what they call, economic supports. Government giving support in terms of tax breaks, in terms of access to funding, guarantees from government, in terms of, government supporting, some things. The government responsibility, which is what they do a lot in Africa, is not to spend money. You don't know how to spend money because government is not a person. Government is a system. And spending money is a person because you have to be accountable. So what government ought to be doing is to create the enabling environments so that entrepreneurs can spend money and create value.
So for a difficult, economy, where you don't have such environment, what can an entrepreneur do to the chance of success?
Well, in a difficult economy, like when we talk about an economy where it's difficult to do business, What the first thing an entrepreneur needs to do is to understand the risk involved in that environment. It's so important. Understand the risk involved in that environment. Based on that, then you need to develop your plan in such a manner you would if that risk does not exist. That's one. Number two, of course, there'll be a market for you. There'll be a need to be met in such economy. What the entrepreneur wants to do is to be to focus on that. And it's also very important for the entrepreneur to develop the competence to meet the needs. Because you can't just invest money when you don't know how to after returns. So it's not enough to say it's a profitable business. You must have the skill to do it. Those are very important. And of course, you need to understand in such an environment the challenge of governance. Governance, the challenge of politics, societal factors. Entrepreneurship is all about a person that is able to actually go through the storm. So a typical entrepreneur thrives more in terms of difficulty, really. Entrepreneurship is actually needed in terms of difficulty. And by the real definition of entrepreneur, really, you find that entrepreneur is actually what you call a creative destroyer.
Creative destroyer?
Yes, he destroys status quo to create new standards.
Okay.
That's an entrepreneur. So even when everything is okay, there's no difficulty in the economy, you find an entrepreneur come to destroy what is on ground and start new products. So that's the challenge, is actually the food of entrepreneurs.
Yes. So assuming I want to start, a business of my own, what are those things you would want me put in place? What are those things, I can put in place to take off?
Well, there are two ways you're asking two questions. One is, what should I do right so that my business can work well? Then you can answer that question can also be answered by saying, what are the reasons for which business fail? Because if I do what is wrong, business will fail. So I will take it from the back first.
Okay.
Now, the first thing that you want to do is to do a market research.
Okay.
And so get to know about the market. Find out whether what you want to sell, people want to buy. I think it's a very funny thing. When somebody wants to go and sell something, nobody wants to buy. Find out whether he might not be scientific. It might be a simple thing like asking your members of your family, your neighbors, people you meet on the street. You say, so market research, and find out about that. Then secondly, get training and exposure. All right, get training and exposure. You see, business success is more about you, more than the environment. A place where others fail, some others will go there and succeed. It's not really about the place. It's about the person engaging the place.
Okay.
So you get training and exposure. So get training, get exposure. Because you see, business does not succeed because it's profitable. Business succeeds because somebody is running it well. Then you have to be customer focused. That means you must understand that customers are the real employer of everybody in the business. When the customers stop buying, money stop flowing, every other thing stop. So you must be customer focused. Then the other thing is that you must set specific objective. All right, specific objective as to what you want to do, and you must have a time-bound plan. In business, you can't just be doing things; it must be time-bound. I mean, you have to work with time to know what you want to do, when, how you want to do it, why you want to do it, who you want to do it with. And, you must have time-bound. And of course, other thing is that you need to surround yourself with good support and counsel. Since you're not going to be doing business alone, most of the time, people sometimes make mistakes of getting advice from members of their family because they're the closest. Unfortunately, the members of your family might not be very savvy in financial analysis, investment analysis. They might not be savvy in banking process, right? in record keeping, all those kind of stuff. So those are the kind of challenges sometimes people face. Now, all of these, plus the last one, which we say, don't be afraid of failing because there'll be challenges. All of these, again, I come back to what must I do? Now, recognizing this, because of this, business plan becomes very important. So you need to have a business plan. So what your business plan will be attempting to answer is this question. Okay, so you need to have a business plan. That's just what you need to have. A business plan to be able to succeed, in which you'll be able to articulate your plan, look at your process. What the business plan does basically is to give you a broad picture of what the future will look like when you start, so that you can be able to know how to dress for that place. I would probably want to say that a business plan will be a detailed written statement, you know, that describes the nature of the business, the target markets, the advantage the business will have in relation to competition, and the resources and qualification that will require to make the business a success. Those are the business plan. Now that's what I need to put together once I have an idea, you know, to do something.
So as an upcoming entrepreneur, what are the obstacles, you know, I could face, and how do I surmount such obstacles?
Well, you know, the finance obstacle, that means it looks like I don't have enough money to fund my idea. You know, usually most people start a business with their savings or support from the members of their family. That's the nature of entrepreneurship. But for finance, two things I want to say is this. Don't go into a business that the market is not there. Because technically speaking, the market is supposed to buy the goods. I used to get money from the market. In business, you want to look at you can finance your business from two ways, from debt or equity. Debt is like borrowing. It's not a bad thing. If it's borrowing for a purpose that is productive, in which you pay back the money and then earn something, that's good. And then equity means some other people joining you to put money in the business. That's equity. But what you want to do is that don't allow more debts than equity. Because when debt becomes more than equity, you risk losing the business. You know, because the creditors might, you know, come after you, and then you know, pressure on you and everything. So you want to be very careful about that. And then the way to solve that is to make sure that your business generate enough cash, you know, so that you can be able to maintain that business. So it's so important that you do that. Then the other thing is the issue of management. You know, now how do I manage my business? You must understand that business will require management to grow.
Definitely.
Yes, and management has to do with planning, organizing, coordinating, you know, control, feedback. You know, those things are things that you might not be used to. Yes. So you're wondering, what do I do? And this explains why most entrepreneurs, for instance, don't have even a system of paying themselves. I have a testimony of a young man that is doing cosmetics, you know, and then because the market is there, you know, it gets a lot of people, the retailers and wholesalers, to pay down for him to manufacture the cosmetics. And he's been able to use those kind of, you know, funding, you know, to be able to take care of setting up his plans. You know, so funding is a lot with fund. You can use your plans money to fund. You can have a negotiation with the people that are supplying things to you that I'll collect now, pay you later. Once you can link it to the market. The beautiful story about funding is markets. You know, anything that is good, because you see, the whole idea is that if everybody, anyone that has money, the cost of money is profits. Anybody that has money in his hand is looking for how to increase his money. When bank gives money, they want interest. When somebody gives you money, they want profit. If you can create events where money can be created, and you can paint the picture to anyone that has money, money follows idea.
Money follows idea. As
a matter of fact, in the capital market, people invest in paper.
Yes.
Oh, because what you buy is a piece of paper. So it goes to show that you know it's about your ability to project to people what you are going to make, and I mean, of course, the reality of it, that's what people invest on. Other obstacles would be like maybe like granting credit too much to people, selling on credit too much, and expanding too rapidly is also can be a challenge, for which an entrepreneur needs to manage. Personal habits and extravagance of the entrepreneur also can be a challenge. Yes. When you're your own master, you wake up anytime you like, and then you don't have discipline of managing a business very well, because a business is a system. It becomes a challenge. Of course, lack of understanding of cash flow is also very important. Many people mistake cash flow for profitability. That is profitable does not mean it's cash. Now, cash is the blood of the business.
Cash is the blood of the business.
Profit is the body.
Okay.
You have a body, but you need the blood, to live.
To live.
You need the blood to live. Yes. So those kind of things. So the business is like the spirits. The body is profit. The cash is the blood.
Wow.
So without the body, without the body, the spirit can live. You know, so the system is there. You know, it's there. But if it's not profitable, it will die. But cash is what that makes it to be sustainable.
Yeah.
So profitability and sustainability is so important that, you know, and it happens that sometimes you don't understand all that and become a challenge, you know, for the entrepreneur.
Okay.
You know.
We are talking entrepreneurship. We'll continue after this break. This is Insights, and we're talking entrepreneurship. My guest is still in the house, Pastor Shola Olubode. Pastor Shola?
Yes.
You know, in the US and in some other nations, you know, you could talk about businesses that have survived for years, some 100 years, 50 years. But in this part of the world, you hardly hear of such businesses. I mean, why?
Well, you know, it also shows is a reflection of what we've been talking about since. One is the fact that for an entrepreneur, most of their concern is the concept of living them. You know, they're not so concerned about, you know, they're not concerned about, okay, it's me that did it. No, it's about the concept of living them. So you find that in such systems, they put in place, you know, structures that will make sure that the dream outlive them. That's one. The other thing is also management.
Management.
You know, management. When business are not well managed, they don't last.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't last. And the third thing is the concept of legacy. You know, legacy, that means bequeathing legacies to society. Okay. You know, in a system where people are not conscious of, you know, the future. You know, it is so pathetic. In most parts of Africa, for instance, the attitude towards youth and children is a reflection of, you know, as the concept of legacy.
Can you explain that further?
Now, what we mean by that is that when you start a business in a place like the US, during the summer, you have children from primary school coming to the office to come and observe what you do. Okay. They have tours, school tours. They have programs supporting, you know, and they give scholarship from the university, you know, from the company. They give scholarship to students to train them to develop skills in certain area and then bring them back to work for them. Okay. You can see a lot of connection between the private and the public sector training for the purpose of posterity.
Continuity.
Continuity. Those things are going on, and that's legacy. But you see, there's a disconnect. Here, there's no consciousness of, you know, I mean, so the young person is detached from legacy. Even the children or the man.
Yes, I'm not interested.
They are not interested in mass business. That means the man has probably started a school something because there's no concept. There's no embedded in the vision. There's no continuity. And you see, vision is not just what you see. Vision is who you are. It's what we see. Vision is not thought, it's caught. You know, so you know the way the man goes about his business.
Vision is not thought.
You catch it, you catch the vision.
So begin to flow.
So the way the man does his vision, even the children know that it's between the man and themselves. They know that this thing is for the man. Yes. So most of them are like, they're always thinking and moving on with their life. Yes. And those are the kind of things you find common. You know, so of course, and also of course the pride of family, the family tradition, the pride. You know, the Uncle Bens. You know, the Boeing brothers. You know, it's very interesting to note that most of the great companies in the world are owned by people. You know, you are thought they are owned by spirits. The way the thing became so huge and humongous, that it was just two people that started this. You know, two brothers started this. You know, the Renault brothers, the Boeing brothers, Daimler-Benz. You know, Toyota, Honda, were human beings. They just started small. Yes. And it's now global business because they had this concept embedded in the system.
So what is serial entrepreneur, serial lifestyle and social entrepreneur? What's the difference?
But in fact, the concept of social entrepreneurship became so common, you know, in the late 80s, when it dawned on them. It's also started from a lot of them were championed by the US, when it dawned on a whole lot of people that the market system cannot provide prosperity for everybody. That means some people will not be able to, because of their inability to be creative, inability, because the whole idea of entrepreneurship is a reward for creativity. The entrepreneur is a creative person. it can create, but not everybody can create.
Yes.
And not everybody is also very competent to get a job. Maybe they're not skilled. So we find that there'll be people on the margins of the economy, the inner cities of our lives.
Okay.
So the concept of social entrepreneur is providing services and value, not for profits for others. But it has to be sustainable, and that's the difference between that. Now, what a social entrepreneur will do is to come up with projects and come up with ideas, and that people can buy maybe at highly subsidized prices, but it has to be sustainable because people have to be there. Unlike government, he is doing it in such a way to create sustainability. And I will tell you, there are a lot of social entrepreneurs that have lasted 50, 60. I mean, even long before it is decided doing it, and they've done well.
Yes.
And then of course, a serial entrepreneur will be someone that is highly, excited and is highly, is committed. That's what the company is committed to, the entrepreneurship, starting new businesses,
bringing new
ideas, starting
innovations.
So you find someone is in telecoms, is in gas, is in real estate. It's always coming up with things, and they are working because it's come to understand. It can actually smell an opportunity afar off, whether it's in nation, whether in society, whether among people, and it can come in and do something about it. And then, of course, we have the lifetime entrepreneur. It's someone that it's actually pick up entrepreneurship as a life call. Not only is he interested in starting businesses and ventures, but he's also committed to encouraging entrepreneurs. Coming up, raising entrepreneurs, becoming a mentor, funding projects that would, encourage entrepreneurship in a particular society. Such people also exist. Okay.
Technology today, is taking over, the world.
Yeah.
Now, I see it affecting some small-scale businesses, like the camera, nearly every phone has a camera. Some are so highly digital, and somebody who has gone to learn photography, will that, what's the... You know what I'm talking about?
Part of technology.
Exactly.
You're
then
right,
those who have bookshops as businesses, then you have the online store. People now prefer to, download books than go to bookshops. So how can such be handled?
You're right. Technology, it's actually it has changed the whole way the world works. Today we say it used to be people think the world is spherical. That means you have to travel from one part of the world to the other part of the world. Today we talk about the world having different time zones. Some part is night, some part is day. So because of that, when you are calling your friends in another part of the world, is sleeping. When you are awake, the guy is sleeping. Now, but technology has flattened the world. The world is not flat. What it means the world is flat is that you can stand from where you are and see anywhere. That means from your room you can see Turkey.
Yes. Exactly.
You can actually travel to London in your room and come back, and on your way you can even branch in America. Because the experience is real. Now that has also affected the way business is done. Truly it has. It has affected the way service is delivered. It has affected payment systems. It has affected relationship management. Oh yeah, because today I could actually have your email and tell you that my stocks have arrived, or even send you a text that the fish is ready now. You can come and pick fish. As a mechanic that is in a garage where people are repairing cars, you can actually tell the person to go now, and that I would call you when it's technology. All that is technology. It's made it faster. So it's so important that small business people begin to understand the impact of technology. It's a huge opportunity. We're talking about the social network sites. Now, one of the typical examples of the miracle, I call it miracle of technology, is India. India today is called a third world country with a population maybe close to maybe well over 1 billion now. But India today has used technology to galvanize the economy. As I speak to you, India has one of the best export markets for medicine.
Okay.
Now, what has happened? What India has done is that India has set up diagnosis centers all around the world.
Wow.
We are connected to the hospital in India. You can diagnose, and by video conferencing, a doctor in India can actually give you all diagnoses, while the hospitals in that particular locality are still waiting for people to be on queue.
Yes.
People are talking to doctors in India via video conferencing. And once it is approved that you need to come, they are not going to India for treatment. So right now, India is the fastest growing economy for medical exports.
Wow.
That means doctors in India, they're actually exporting their skills all over the world, online, real time. Even in Nigeria is happening. That means a doctor is consulting, as I'm talking to you, a doctor is consulting right now within this environment.
Yes.
And the man is in India.
So for such people, you know, who don't have, like in this part of the world, you know, technology is still, you know, brewing. It hasn't really taken a foothold. For those who run, you know, those who run the bookshop, like I said before, what should they do?
Interestingly, you know, the interesting thing about technology is that technology, it's, you know, I tell you the word is flat. So technology has a behavior. It doesn't have regard for a economy that is like, say you are not maybe like ready or something. No, it can come in, and work anyhow. As I speak right now, within even our system, we have right now in the country of 167 million people, 102 million people are carrying phones. That is more than 80%. And on each phone, the least it can do is to give you basic information like SMS. Now, some of the phones can do as much as transmit even TV. Yes. Some of the phones can do internet and surfing, you know, Facebook and stuff like that. So all of that will mean for a person that is doing business here that needs to be aware that there are more opportunities than we are thinking. Now, we talk about the e-copies. We talk about they're available right now. They're available. Now, with an email facility, you can get e-copy. Now, I know that Amazon, you know, and all the big bookshops in the world, they have, you know, structures like the Kindle, I mean, the special materials and things like that. So there's so much opportunities, you know, now. So anyone that is doing business must not rest under the guise that, you know, no, it's not, we are here. We are here now. Think about it. A tailor that is designing clothes has all the designs on laptop. And it goes to a particular place, and rather than telling you about pictures and album, it shows you everything on laptop, and laptop is what it's showing is on PowerPoint. So you can see designs, you can see, you know, you can see dimensional designs,
3D design,
3D designs of the clothes it's showing. And apart from doing that, it cannot even go ahead and send it to you. Say, do you like the designs and everything? That is all through, you know, technology. And then at the end of the day, you're able to agree on what you want, and it does it. It takes your dimensions, it puts it there, and it can actually take your frame and show you what it will look like on the design. So we are taking architecture into tailoring, because there's software for all that now. You know, so there's so much happening. And so, because technology runs on the backbone of computer, it runs on the backbone of internet, it runs on the backbone, and internet, it's here. You know, it's here, so it runs on the backbone of satellites. So the satellite is here. So I think with what we've seen in telecommunications, the kind of upsurge we see, the kind of growth, the sporadic growth we saw in telecommunications, is a signal to show that there's a lot of embracement of technology amongst Nigerians if they are given the right, you know, orientations. And I think the opportunities are here. So there are opportunities for business owners to use technology to expand their business and manage, you know, risk.
So in the 21st century, how do I build my customer base?
You know, I would say that
a lot of people have gone online and all that.
You know, there are two things when you talk about a customer. When you're approaching a customer, there are two concepts in customer service concept, which is, you know, globally accepted. One is transaction-oriented person and relationship management-oriented person. Now, a transaction-oriented person is a person that's meeting someone and thinking about what can I get from you, you know, for now, and then I move on. But the relationship management person is a person that is thinking about developing a relationship with a person and see how it can continually, you know, explore that relationship to continually develop his business. Now, in business, it is advisable that anyone that's going to grow your customer or a customer base, you must have a relationship management perspective to business. Now, in relationship management, you also you need to continually be up to date with the values that the person wants. It's because most of the time what happens is that we take our customer for granted. You know, we do that all the time. We take our customer for granted. You know, we stop calling. We don't send greetings again. We are used to him. Now, in business, you can't be used to a customer. It's dangerous. You can't be used to a customer. So, relationship management is very important.
What do you mean it's dangerous?
Well, it's dangerous to the extent that competition is always knocking at the door. That means somebody wants that customer. So, you know, you can imagine when you are no longer paying attention and somebody is not paying attention in a way that the customer has always expected. Okay. And the customer will move. So, we also need to know that customer satisfaction is given now. Customer satisfaction is expected because nobody wants to deal with you and have a bad idea. What am I paying anyway? Yes. Now, we need to move from customer satisfaction now to customer amazement. No, but that's the truth. That's the only way you can retain me. Okay. Yeah, because you see, the world is even global now. As I'm sitting now on my computer, I didn't solicit for anything. Somebody just telling me I can get a better deal by email. Yes. And then you are just 3 times in 10 minutes. And I just won't wake up. I just follow the person. Yes, you're right. So you see, customer amazement. And that's so important. And then you also must put in place, you must have a customer service culture. What you call customer-centric. What I mean by that is basically, well, I use these words. There are words that you find there. But let me explain. What it means is that you have to become like the customer is our employer. Okay. You know, to have a consciousness that, and if that mentality and that culture is there, you know, you will design your environment for the customer. Because you see, the way you behave shows your consciousness. So I'm thinking that you have to do that for the customer. And then thirdly, you have to continually be innovative when it comes to product development and service. You have to be innovative. That means, rather than do it this way, you have to do it this way. You have to be innovative. So you have to think ahead. Now, you are talking about selling water, but somebody is putting water and cup and straw for parties. They might not buy your bottle again. Added value. Hey, because, and it's a disposable cup. So rather than cup aside, water aside, someone has gone to put water inside cup and put, the straw by the side. So you just, and then you won't go ahead not to even to put cup and water. You won't brand the bride and the groom's name on up, of course. I mean, you won't tell me not to buy it. You're right. So there's so much. So you have to be innovative when it comes to customer service. And then one thing also you want to do is also to continually keep record. Customers like records. Understand what customer wants. Number one, customer wants speed. Customer wants quality. And customer is conscious of cost. So anything that will reduce cost, that will be faster, and that will be quality. You're in business. And so what you want to do is that you want to be able to combine such things. And that's where creativity comes in. Yes. And once you know all that, you can retain customers, and you can build customers. You can build customers. And you need to train your people to think like you. Because most of the time, the challenge people who have in business is that they are very passionate, but they surround themselves with people that are not passionate. Yes. And unfortunately, in the moment of the truth, decision making with customers, the person they are talking to is the company. So you can't tell them later that, well, I didn't send him, and then, you are the one. I mean, you employed him, so exactly. So you can't say I didn't send him. Last question: what do you think, in Nigeria, what do you think the government is doing to encourage small-scale businesses, and how can one take advantage of such initiatives? Well, for me in Nigeria, I know that the government has been trying to do a whole lot. For instance, the setting up of microfinance banks was government's way of answering the question of financing for small business. All right, we talk about the small and medium scale enterprise fund that each commercial banks put together for funding. We talked about the issue of agencies that government put in place, to small business, small and medium scale enterprise development agency, But the thing I think the government, the disconnect I see in government, which I think we need to pay attention to, is the concept of entrepreneurship that government is mixing up. There's a mix-up. And unfortunately, when the policy is wrong, every other thing they're going to be doing is, and you can see the effects. Despite the fact that you have the microfinance bank, despite you have Miss Midan, the entrepreneurship concept is not coming. One, there's no clear-cut curriculum development amongst people. You see, entrepreneurship is youthfulness. You know, there's no clear cut. There's still a whole lot of, there's no culture. There's no references. You know, that's true. Then secondly, the enabling environment is still very harsh.
It's not very conducive at all.
There's no conducive. Yeah. So government is not paying attention. And government will understand that to create, look at how telecoms has helped business. And that's government part. So government needs to pay attention to energy. Need to pay attention to transportation. Those things are the element of commerce.
Yes.
You know, when those things are in place, you know, people move.
Yeah.
So the element of commerce, the driving force of commerce, government is not paying attention to it. So it's almost like, you know, even the 85% of activities in Nigerians are agriculture. Because you might think that the largest sector is oil and gas. No, the largest contributor is oil and gas. It's very small. But more people are into agri. But even that agri is subsistence.
Yes.
It's not mechanized.
Exactly.
And then the concept of agro-business is not even explored to the extent to which the supermarkets are being funded by, you know, the farmers, so that all of us can go to a supermarket and buy clean meats, get rice, get tomato. You know, all those things are like the connections you find in an organized setting, in which government comes in as the regulators and agencies to make sure that they manage the relationship between the farm and just the way government is managing the relationship between we are using telecoms and the telecoms provider through NCC. So such structures need to come in place. So there has to be policy, there has to be agency, and there has to be a kind of the legal structure to make sure that entrepreneurship work. So it's not just enough to say, go and borrow money. And then you borrow the money, they use maybe like 8% to buy diesel.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, it's a lot of, entrepreneurship is something that government needs to embrace. The curriculum needs to be taught in schools. They need to be taught in schools. There needs to be a lot of encouragement. You need to support it and make it inspiring. And then government needs to have a very definite, you know, program, you know, to help, you know, young entrepreneurs, you know, to explore and move on.
Wow, Professor Shola, thanks for coming. That was very, very insightful.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. If you have a dream, don't let it die. Keep it alive. Be determined to make it work. This is Pastor Mercy.